On episode 7 of our continuing series with Jess Walter and his book, The Cold Millions, we are now in the region of Spokane where Jess imagined the two main characters, Rye and Gig Dolan, roomed with a local boarder, Mrs. Ricci. Although these characters are fictional, they represent an era of local history where the Cold Millions attempted to eke out a life and dared to dream the American dream.
But this is sort of the region I imagine Mrs. Ricci living in.
Right.
A short walk from things going on down in the Catholic land, Vatican land.
And kind of industrial right in
Yeah,
here, too.
it's
There was a
much
rail
more
line
industrial.
along here.
Yeah.
And ones they would ride easy, they weren't really passenger trains.
Well, the place you'd pick up a train is when it slows down enough that you can get on it. And so all those rail yards would be where they would congregate.
Yeah.
Guys who sometimes traverse the entire West, knowing which seasons, when you could pick apples in Wenatchee. And the lowest of the low jobs, picking things, digging things, and the hope always was you'd get on one of those log crews.
Yeah, as a full-timer. Yeah.
Right, exactly.
But of course, that didn't happen for most.
For most of them, it didn't.
Yeah.
Although, that is kind of the triumph of so many of those unions. It created a path to the middle class for a lot of those guys.
It certainly did.
One of the motivations for the book was that my grandfather in the 30s rode the rails looking for agricultural jobs. Ended up owning his own ranch, and because he had been trained as a union welder.
Yeah.
And so that route was what I wanted Rye to take. The creation of a middle class out of what was really just two classes, wealth and poverty.
Yeah.
It's funny, Rye is the protagonist of the novel, but I wouldn't call him the hero. I would call Elizabeth Gurley Flynn and probably Gig the hero. I thought of him almost as the field upon which the game is played. His brother kind of helps set him on a course where, he gets what we thought of as the American dream. A house and a job and taking care of your family and all those things.
Yeah. And then we got the quote from Rye here. All people except this rich cream, living and scraping and fighting and dying. And for what? Nothing. The cold millions with no chance in this world.
Yeah, it's funny that for a while the novel was going to be called Nothing West of Dead, which is another quote from the book. Another hobo tells Rye to get off the train before Spokane because there's nothing west of dead. But I was writing and I really was taken by the class aspects of the novel. And I was thinking about Rye having this moment of awareness, this kind of epiphany about the world that he lived in. When I typed that phrase, the cold millions living and dying and no chance in the world, I got a kind of shudder, and I thought, this is the name of the novel.
Awesome.
It's really about Rye is one of those people that we pass on the street now through often no fault of their own, are just born out of the opportunities that we take for granted. Yeah. And the way we take care of those cold millions is what determines our humanity as a culture. And in Spokane in 1909 and 1910, they had to fight for, the basic rights. And it was a way for me, again, to echo what I think is a huge problem now, and that's income inequality and the opportunity that's not afforded to everyone.
Yeah.